Welcome to Section 31, episode number 364. I'm Dan Hammond.
And I am Rogue Schindler.
This week we were hoping to have an interview with Fritz Meissner, who is a proponent and a fan of the Excelsior format. Unfortunately, I think we got our timelines crossed, and he was in another time. So he was ready previously yesterday. We're not recording yesterday, so we're going to try again.
But for him, today is tomorrow.
Today is tomorrow, but not all of our yesterdays.
No,
we'll line up and try again next week. We're going
then it will be time for yesterday.
We'll have time for yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the meantime, for yesterday.
Let's not argue about time.
Wait, we don't have the time?
No. You went to a convention, so we can talk about that. Where did you go?
Well, I went to what was supposed to have been a convention this weekend. Saturday, there was a small group of fans who got together and decided that Unity Days, which I go to in January in Vancouver, and by I mean, like, I've gone to the last two, and there's going to be one more, and we're going to that. It's also run by fans, but that is run by fans who know what they're doing and actually have some managerial experience. And it turns out this group of fans who just got together and said, "Hey, they do that. That looks like fun. Let's do it so we can see these people as well, or organize something." I'm not entirely sure if that's true, but that's what I'm choosing to believe, because that's kind of how it felt like. They threw together this convention and were very excited to do it, and whatever, did a Kickstarter, and people paid money to get tickets, and it was funded to the correct amount. Only apparently that was not the correct amount. They actually needed more money than that, and they were counting on selling additional tickets, which they did not. At least not in a sufficient number. So about 2 months ago, we got they put out one tweet on their official LLC Twitter account explaining, "Yep, didn't sell enough tickets. It's canceled. Sorry. For legal reasons, we will be entering no more tweeting nothing else about this matter, as we are now filing for bankruptcy." Out.
Well, there's always that disclaimer at the bottom of the Kickstarter. What are the what could go wrong?
Yeah, and it's like we poured over all of the Kickstarter disclaimers, and it's like, they have to do the utmost they can to. It's like, you know what, this is some bullshit, because you guys, like, that's not how you run an event. If you have to put some money in and hope that it gets covered by the ticket sales, and if you didn't put the right amount on your Kickstarter, that's your pocket, not ours, that gets screwed. So apparently that's not the case of what's happening. We got a nice letter from their lawyers declaring their bankruptcy and so on. But a lot of people, it was done so late, because it was literally the day before the deposits were due for the facilities, that they waited. And a lot of people had already booked travel, non-refundable travel. People had reservations at the hotel already. We're fairly local, and a lot of people were like, "You know what? I guess I have to go anyway." And like a handful of people, "Yeah, let's go anyway." And we're like, "We'll drive up. Let's get together." I made a 100 version of Cards Against Humanity. It's printed out. We played it at Unity Days. Everybody loves it. We'll go order pizza, sit in the lobby, play cards, and gush about the 100. It'll be awesome. We love hanging out with each other at Unity Days. Fantastic. Well, one of the cast members who had been set to MC the outing, he's very boisterous. He loves interacting with fans, and he's like, "That sounds awesome. I will totally stop by. Maybe I'll see what else I can do."
Nice.
And there's a company called IDDS, which stands for I Don't Do Subtle, that manages the several of the cast members' convention appearances. Not their like agents or managers or anything, but it's exclusively for their convention appearances. They manage that, and they're very good at it. We've actually become pretty good acquaintances with them. Seeing, they recognize Lara as we've been waiting in line since she was like 4 months old at Dragon Con, and so we've seen them over the years. And they came in and said, "This is really a bummer. We're sorry. We know we had clients who are coming, we will honor all autographed tickets that were supposed to be included in any packages. We'll make sure you get something somehow. Don't sweat it, and maybe we can arrange something for the people who are going to be traveling out anyway. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So then the groups that were coming started forming a little like online chat like feed to start talking about what to do and where to go. And somewhere along the line, Sechin, who plays one of the supporting role characters on the show and was going to be the MC, says, "Let's go to Disneyland." And that kind of took off. And I'm not entirely sure what happened, but it sounds like that got a little too public and a little too widespread and excited, and maybe because they were trying to keep it to just the people who had already paid for tickets for Congata is what it was called, and not be this big explosive thing. And so they're like, okay, they got a list of people who are supposed to have tickets and were willing to go anyway. They sent out this exclusive evite. You could only people who were invited. You can't invite other people. And they switched it to Universal Studios, but we still called it Disney Crew, just to throw everybody off. And they're like, hey, we're going to do this here. We're pretty sure some people will come, but we're not going to guarantee it. But let's all go have fun at a theme park in a very, we don't want to promise anything. Things might happen to cancel, but probably it's going to happen sort of way. And it was awesome. We got there, we mustered outside the gates, and they printed out bags for us. We had little swag bags. And I like, mine's out of reach. It's over there, but it's actually, I'm going to grab it.
Awesome.
We got, it says,
wow,
Disney Crew, kind of. And inside the Disney silhouette is all of the Universal property logos.
It's Potter and Jurassic Park. And Minion. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, there's a Minion and everything. And they had like a little hand sanitizer and a pencil and some sunscreen and a couple of 8x10s that were signed, and just little tissues, like little supply kit. And they gave us all wristbands, so we knew we were together. They broke us into color-coded groups, and they're like, okay, who are you with? Do you know anybody here? Do you want to be in a group with them so you can spend the day together, because you're going to spend the whole day in your group? We did that. We found one of our friends who we knew from Dragon Con who had flown out. And then about a half hour later, Lindsay Morgan, who plays Raven, and Tasia Tellis, who plays Echo, and Sechin Sehen, who plays Jackson, and Jared Joseph, who plays Miller, showed up, and each guest went with a group, and we all went to Harry Potter Land, and then we split up, and it was like, all right, this guest is going to stay with your smaller group. Please don't monopolize time. And there was only there was 50 of us who were supposed to go, come to the con. And so it was like 40, 48, 50. And so we broke up into smaller groups. We got really lucky in that there were some bigger chunks of people who wanted to be in groups together. And our group only beat like 9 or 10 people, which is less than a quarter of 50. So we got really good time with each of the people. We spent like an hour and a half, 2 hours with the guest. We went shopping with Lindsay Morgan, went on a roller coaster with Tasia. We went and we got to watch Jared and Sechin play like showdown at the basketball hoops in the Simpsons area carnival stuff. And they took selfies with everybody, and we went and got donuts, and Lara got to tell Lindsay that Owl say who when she was buying her little Hedwig Who backpack, owl backpack, and it was awesome. It was like, this is like, for as shitty as it was, like all the circumstances it has, I am so glad that con got to totally folded and we're assholes about it, because
you guys kind of got upgraded.
We seriously did, and there's no way anything like this would have happened. Like, I don't even know. And Caitlin and I were leaving. We actually had to leave early. We stayed probably an hour and a half past Laura's nap time, and she was a super trooper. Like, she had fun and interacted with everybody, but there was only so much she could take. And we're like, there's, what are you gonna do? She's too energetic to do the stroller nap time anymore. She just won't go for it. So we had to take off. But even the amount of time we spent was invaluable. And we're like, this is what all cons. Screw going to cons. If you could manage this, which you never could, because you'd have to keep a secret and somehow keep people from knowing where it was and hopping in your group, which is the only way that we manage this. But like the only thing I could think of is like, this is the only thing that comes close to what this was is like the cruises, where like they have the Star Trek cruise and the Joko cruise, where you're it's a controlled environment already, and you can do that. But man, it was just fantastic. We had so much fun, and it was just like, it was what you always kind of want to do at cons, which is just hang out with the people, Like I know, like I feel like this person is cool. Like I've seen interviews with them, we've seen them on stage, and like just like hang out and chat. And at one point, Caitlin was like, "Oh God, we're gonna go on a roller coaster. We're just gonna stand in line for 30 minutes." That was awesome to stand in line for 30 minutes because you don't have anything to do but sit there with your 9 people and chat with the person, and we're taking selfies and talking about Harry Potter because we're in Harry Potter land. And it's funny because the person we were on a roller coaster line with was the least Potter knowledge. Everybody giving her a hard time because all of the other cast members are big Potterheads, and then she's been educated by them. So she was telling us stories of all the things that she's like, we watched the one with Buckbeak, and they just kept talking about the hypocrites. And I was like, yeah, you don't want to get too close to a hypocrite, because then they might, come at you. I'm like, and she's like, oh yeah, that's deep. It was really cute, just little stories and how they kind of roped her in, and man, it was fun. It was really cool. And totally trade the con experience for that. So that was our not a con bizarro theme park cast experience that we had this weekend. Totally worth getting up at Dark 30 to drive up there. We kind of like sighed when they switched it to Universal. We're like, oh man,
that's
Disney. That's quite a bit further. But it wasn't bad. We got up early enough to beat the traffic, and Laura threw up as soon as we pulled in the parking garage, but she made it so far, and she was really good. And she just the last 5 minutes, she's like, out, and then like as I pulled into the spot, it's like, oh, well, it's a good thing we were 20 minutes early because now we're not. But she bounced back. She got to take off all her clothes, which she loves. Nikki ran around pointing at Harry Potter stuff. And it's like, what's this? Like, oh, let us introduce you to a whole new fandom.
Yes. Awesome.
So
fantastic, man. That sounds like a great time. How do you replicate this next year without letting anyone else join you?
Yeah, that's the trick. You have to be like if you genuinely wanted to try to replicate this, you would have to like be flexible with the dates and like maybe the location. I mean, LA is a good spot because there are several. You could go to Knott's, but you could go to Six Flags, you could go to Universal, you could go to Disney, go to either Disney. If you just, you had to sign up to know when it was going to be and where you were going to meet and everything, and keep it hush hush. And, you have to trust the people who are signing up to not to know. But like anybody who was there would be like, yeah, I'm not telling anybody. This is awesome. I just want to keep it, I don't want to hoard the time with them, but we're paying, I would totally pay for that time with them, with a small group of people. It was kind of like having our own, sometimes they do, what do they call it? I forget, they have a term for it, but it's like basically a small Q&A where instead of having hundreds of people in the panel room with you, you get to go pay and have a half hour with like 10 people at a round table to do a Q&A with the guest. And that was basically it. We got 4 free, round tables with a guest each that happened to be at a theme park. Like, let's talk about this while we're shooting hoops. Do whatever you want. And they kept saying, like, what do you guys want to do? Oh, I'm going to go buy donuts at the giant Simpson donut thing, and then come out and, we'll cut them all up so we can all share, try them all. And one of them wants to go shopping. So we all piled in the little Harry Potter shops, which I love, but they really need to like not be so precious with the theming and like make them bigger, because they're like, oh, we're going to make them nice and small and cozy so it feels like you're in Hogsmeade, like with your like 10,000 closest friends on the same day.
Yeah, you'd have to. I'm. Boy, just talking about that makes me claustrophobic.
But first thing, we all went and got butterbeer, so we were all super happy. Right away, and just hanging out in front of the castle and watching the Beauxbaton dancers from the Triwizard tournament. And
if you had to guess, just judging based on how you interacted, the folks that came out from the actual show, did it seem like they were working, or were they generally having a good time? You know what I mean?
I felt like they were having a pretty good time. Like they are all, some of them were on occasion, they'd be like, okay, hang on, I'm just going to be on my phone for a minute. And then they come back and be like, hey, how's it going? But they were always kind of interacting in it. I think they were taking it in the same way we were, which is we're going to have fun while we're working.
Sure. But do you feel like they were on, or, trying to be entertaining as if they were part of the show, or were they generally just hanging out because they didn't have anything better to do since whatever they were going to do before got canceled?
Yeah, I think like to start with, they were very cool about, because they knew why we're there, and, they were supposed to be guests. They were all guests for the con that was supposed to be there. And so they were like, hey, thanks for coming out. We're sorry that this happened, but, it's cool that you came out just to see us, and it's relatively, the 100 is still a fairly niche show. It's got a very small but very passionate fan base. And, I think a lot of them are still, like the 2 leads weren't there. They weren't booked for the show, so they weren't at the thing. And they aren't with that particular con management company anyway. But, everybody was there, was still very interested in hanging out with us. And I don't know. I didn't feel like I got a professional on vibe from any of them.
That's cool. That's good to hear.
Yeah. Right, I think they were just all, they're still kind of in that, at least people came out to see us. This is cool, right?
Nice.
So it was fun.
Right on, man. That's sounds like an awesome experience. And it sounds like you, like you said, lucked out that the real thing failed and you got to do the backup plan, and the backup plan turned out better for you than the real plan.
Yeah. And we all our groups merged kind of for a late lunch, and like all the groups. So and a couple of the guests had to leave early, but they wanted to make sure that the groups who hadn't been with them yet got to see them and take selfies for us. So we had like an hour merge time in the Simpsons land where we were all kind of hanging out. And Richard Harmon, who was also on the show and hadn't come because he booked work in LA that day. Like, oh yeah, I can't, Richard wanted to come, but he got a job this morning, or, the booking for this morning. So he's off there filming. He showed up at lunch. He's like, yeah, we got done. So I want to catch up with you guys.
Nice.
He's good friends with Sechin and Jared. So then they were already there, but that was still cool. He didn't have to do that. So yeah, really cool guys, really cool company. And, I like posted a rave review on Twitter for Daniel and Laney, who ran IDDS, because like short of, they had no responsibility for what happened going wrong. They had no There was no reason for them to have to do this other than to be cool about it. And, knowing that, they represent a lot of people in the 100 who are going to be there. And like literally all they get out of this is publicity. So it's like, I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah. Nice.
I do not begrudge you with that at all. And I love them for doing it. So it was really awesome.
Cool, man. That sounds great. That's well-timed filler since we didn't get to talk about Excelsior this week.
Nice. So we're going to try to line up our timelines, as it were.
Yeah.
So that we can catch up with Fritz for next time as Excelsior moves into phase 2.
Yeah. So there's Act 2.
Act 2.
So he's got a couple articles up that I kind of skimmed through before we were going to talk, because I didn't want to get too far into it. I want to be able to ask intelligent questions, but I'm going to go ahead and read through them before we talk to him next week. There's a list of pre-constructed decks. There's a top 5 reasons to play Excelsior Act 2. So we're going to take a look through that. On the other side, there was a smallish boutique 1E set that dropped. We can talk about that next week. Half dozen cards, 13 cards. So we'll talk about that. And yeah, we'll reconvene next week.
All right. Well, I hope those of you who tuned in this week enjoy the 100, or at least enjoy theme park rides or cool convention stories. We'll have more actual Trek intelligence for you next week, hopefully with Fritz here. Even if he doesn't make it, we'll talk about that topic and all the other things Dan just listed. In the meantime, I am Sir Rogue.
And I'm Sir Dan.
And I'll remind you all to expand your power in the universe.
And I will draw to end. I just realized a new card just popped up. So they're still releasing cards on this coming of age set. So we will definitely talk about that next time. And Perfect. To end.